Prince Harry has once again lit the fuse on the powder keg that is his relationship with the royal family. Just when it seemed like there might be a fragile truce, just when the world thought perhaps father and son could find a way back to each other, Harry gave an interview that detonated like a grenade in the middle of Buckingham Palace. And make no mistake, this wasn't just another passing remark. This was raw, direct, and unflinching. He was in Ukraine at the time, riding a moving train, part of his charity mission through the Invictus Games. On the surface, it was the kind of humanitarian work that garners admiration across the globe, visiting wounded soldiers, meeting with veterans, and showing support to a country devastated by war. But even as cameras captured him paying respects at war memorials, his words about the monarchy and his family were echoing louder than the cannons of conflict. Harry declared, without hesitation, that his conscience is clear. Clear after the Oprah interview, clear after the explosive release of his memoir Spare, clear after the Netflix series, after years of court battles, and after dragging decades of royal secrets into the public arena. In his mind, he wasn't exposing dirty laundry. He was correcting the record, setting the truth straight. And if anyone expected him to soften or show regret, they were sorely mistaken. When asked whether he would take back any of his words, Harry said no. A firm, unwavering no. He doubled down, insisting the book, the interviews, the lawsuits, everything were necessary. In his eyes, it wasn't vengeance. It was accountability. And while those words might sound noble to some, palace insiders are reportedly fuming, calling the remarks tone-deaf and disrespectful, especially considering King Charles's very public health battles. The timing couldn't have been worse. Just days earlier, Harry was seen reconnecting with his cancer-stricken father, a rare moment that sparked hope of reconciliation. Yet here he was, only a short while later, saying he would do it all again without a shred of guilt. To the palace, it felt like a cruel twist of the knife, like dangling reconciliation with one hand while striking with the other. And then came the jab that really cut deep. Harry said the focus for the coming year has to be on my dad. On the surface, it sounded like concern. But for the palace, it read like a public reminder that King Charles's condition might be more dire than the family wanted the world to know. Whether intentional or not, those words were seen not as compassion, but as cruelty. A man planting seeds of speculation in a garden already overrun with rumors. One royal aide, speaking off the record, reportedly described the remarks as downright cruel. Another said, "He acts like repeating these stories helps, but it just twists the knife." The sentiment in royal circles is clear. Every time Harry speaks, the wounds grow deeper and the chances of healing drift further away. What makes it worse is the contradiction. Harry says he wants peace, yet every word out of his mouth reignites chaos. He insists he's moved on, yet he keeps looking back. To him, this isn't about revenge. It's about truth. But the more he repeats it, the more even his defenders start to squirm. How can you demand reconciliation while tossing grenades every few months? And then there's Meghan. In this interview, she was barely mentioned at all. The only reference Harry made was to something she once said, that telling the truth is the most efficient way to live. Clearly, he took those words to heart. Whether that truth is unfiltered or conveniently selective is another debate entirely. But make no mistake, Harry believes every word he utters. And that belief, unyielding, unshakable, might be the very thing keeping this rift alive. Because for Harry, the truth doesn't just set you free. It sets everything on fire. But here's where things get even murkier. The optics. Harry's trip to Ukraine should have been the story. His humanitarian mission should have been the headline. Yet the moment the interview aired, critics were quick to question his motives. Was this about helping veterans, or was it about controlling his narrative? After all, Harry has always known how to work a camera. The somber train rides, the walking stick, the quiet moments of reflection, it all felt perfectly staged for dramatic effect. And the irony? This is the same man who insists he doesn't do staged photos. To the outside world, it looked like a carefully constructed image, principled, misunderstood, unbothered. A rebel standing tall against centuries of tradition. And yes, he even said it himself, his motto of success is to remain unbothered. According to Harry, that's what the Ukrainian people love about him. He even went so far as to say he felt quite Ukrainian in spirit because, like them, he does his own thing. A bold statement, and one that dripped with ego. Then came the inevitable nod to his mother, Princess Diana. Harry once again invoked her memory, saying he inherited his independent spirit from her. But while people adored Diana because she lived authentically, critics argue that Harry leans too heavily on her legacy as a shield for his own choices. It's as though every time he wants sympathy, he reaches for her name, even as he burns the bridges she once tried to build. Through it all, Harry insists he's happy. He says the media gets it wrong, that they paint him as bitter and lost, when in reality he feels at peace. He claims he's not miserable, not angry, just misunderstood. But here's the thing. When you have to keep repeating that you're happy, people start to wonder if you're trying to convince the world or yourself. And he doesn't just mention the media in passing. He blames them entirely. In his eyes, the British tabloids are the villains of this saga, poisoning public opinion, distorting the truth, and destroying any chance of reconciliation. He says they've painted him as bitter and ungrateful. He says they've spun his every word to suit their own agenda. That's why he continues to sue them, calling it a fight not for money but for principle. Yet ironically, every interview he gives provides the press with fresh ammunition. And the palace? They're beyond frustrated. Behind closed doors, aides describe his remarks as a gut punch, especially the lines suggesting time is running out for Charles. To a family that lives by the creed of never complain, never explain, Harry's constant complaints and endless explanations feel like betrayal. They feel like exploitation, and yet Harry doesn't see it that way. To him, it's not betrayal, it's honesty. But here's the recurring pattern. Harry says he wants healing, yet every time he speaks, the wound grows deeper. He insists on truth before reconciliation, but the truth, in his eyes, always seems to come at the monarchy's expense. You cannot have reconciliation before you have truth, he said. Noble words, perhaps, but to the palace it was an accusation, a declaration that they are liars while he alone speaks righteousness. That mindset leaves little room for dialogue. How can reconciliation happen when one side demands confession while the other side clings to silence? The result is stalemate, and Harry seems unwilling or unable to break the cycle. What makes his words sting even more is the timing. Right after reconnecting with his father during his illness, Harry chose to air these remarks. Not words of warmth or gratitude, but words of strategy. Phrases that sound less like compassion and more like calculation. And for a family who values discretion above all else, it was another slap in the face. Still, Harry defended Spare, calling it necessary and truthful, saying he would publish it all again. But to the people he wrote about, his brother William, Queen Camilla, and even his father, it felt like betrayal carved in ink. And the fact that Harry still doesn't see that speaks volumes. When asked whether he feels responsible for the damage, he deflects. If people think he's bitter, he says it's the media's fault. If they think he's stubborn, he says it's just his principles. There's no reflection, no accountability, just blame. And yet Harry claims he still feels the support of the British public. A risky claim, because while some admire him, many more now see him as out of touch. An exile who profits from royal wounds while flying private and curating his own image. The contradictions are piling up, and the patience of the public is wearing thin. In the end, Harry's biggest problem isn't the monarchy. It isn't even the media. It's his mouth. Every time he speaks, he reignites the fire. Every word fuels the chaos he claims to despise. And maybe that's the tragedy of Prince Harry, a man who wants peace but cannot stop waging war.